Survival of Troy is an action-adventure in the vein of The Matrix, Lord of the Rings, or, all those other ones. When somebody takes the fate into their own hands, when everybody tells them that their surroundings, their environment, and everybody in it says, no, you can't do that, he somehow cleaves to the notion that he can. And so the world changes, the ordinary world changes to a magical place. At the opening, we find Troy with a group of fixers hanging from wires, trying to fix these ideas into the ceiling, and the ideas are falling out. And as that falls out, in this huge Colosseum-like area, there's a Jabba the Hutt creature like below that catches them and eats them as they drop, and even while the crowd cheers. Troy watches all this, flabbergasted. He can't do anything about it, but he's just kind of frozen. He's fortunately saved by a group of angels where he's whisked to the den of the bear of false destiny. The bear of false destiny says to him, what are you doing here? You have a real destiny. You've got to get out. He's whisked by the pterodactyl, where he's dropped to the rats, where he's taken to the monkeys on the Nile, where he lands with his first love for Titi, who is the great catalyst of his journey, says to him, here we are forming a spontaneous relationship in a conditioned environment, as they're in a pyramid with the sun shining through. And they circle around this environment, creating a magical world, when all of a sudden she wants to control what he wears. And he knows it's time to leave. And so we enter the second act. When we open the second act, Troy finds himself hanging upside down from a tree with Ramdam, who says to him, welcome to my world. This is part, you can be part of this. He says, well, I love your innovations, but unfortunately, your ways are a little bit too rigid for me. Oh, yeah, really? He cuts him loose. He's taken by a group of pirates, where he's dropped off at the island of Crete, where Hercules says to him, you have to learn how to operate under times of duress. And with his flock of sheep, he sends him with a slingshot to the other side of the world, where he lands with the next great catalysts of his being, Vine, Clear Stream, and Wisteria, who usher him into a new part of his reality, where past, present, and future come together in one front, where he realizes who he is that he's never known before, because of all of them together forming this community of that again is the sort of flowering of the world that came out of nowhere. But as soon as it seems to reach some sort of a ripening of the fruit, the tree falls apart and it disappears like the great continental rift. It is here that Troy is met with the most difficult part of his journey, where everything he encounters rebuffs him, even though he has his full abilities intact. He meets Lot and Rebecca, who tell him to turn back to his past and turn into stone. The lion with the red lion says, here is the kingdom of expediency, join me. He keeps moving because he's called to the south. He meets the tiger with green wings, who says, here is the kingdom of instincts. You can rule here too. Troy says no. He continues onward until he reaches the external city, which is surrounded by gremlins under siege, but he enters anyway. Here he meets Lavandra, who's called him there from the north to the south. She says, welcome, I invited you, but actually, I'm with the clown. But you invited me here, says Troy. No, that's okay. And she turns and becomes the swan. Troy then advances and he talks to the witch Help Me, who says, welcome here, I have a gift offering for you. His name is Dr. Gingivitis. But the only thing that I'll get from being in league with Dr. Gingivitis is bad breath. Well, if that's how you want to put it, the deal's off. And she cuts the cord. Then he advances toward Janus, the two-sided head of comedy and tragedy, who invites him to show the secrets of his trade. But as soon as he gets there, he just seems to be sucking his energy. But by this point, Troy has learned all the machinations of his saboteurs and goes around and cuts him at the cord. It's at this point Troy has encountered all of these obstacles and he's ready to throw in the towel, when just as the final catalyst of his being through space and time appears Euryhymnia. And together, at this time, the dragon appears that has been holding everything back also. But because they're together, they dance on the back of the dragon, and the heart of the dragon rises up in the sky. It is the sun that provides nutrients to the whole land that once it just ate and destroyed. And so come to the final conclusion of Survival of Troy. Thank you for listening.